This is a Guide Your Light network production, creating podcasts with purpose.
Welcome to the Things You Can't Unhear podcast. I'm your host, Maritza Barone. Get ready to hear moments that will help you to see the world differently and inspire you to become the happiest, healthiest, and kindest version of you. Hello, welcome back to the show. I love that so many of you are tuning into my solo episodes. I've been doing this sporadically throughout the podcast, but in the early years, I was still very much learning, and I'm still learning today, of course, but I wanted to soak up as much goodness and insights from our guests, and I rarely thought to share about myself. And I remember people started saying to me, "We want to hear more about you. We're reading between the lines in the interviews when you share some of yourself and your story, but we want to know more." So I started to share, and I realized that we all have stories and experiences that others can benefit from listening to. So today I want to share with you the journey of my career, because in reflection, it really has been a wild pathway to get to this podcast, and one that others might see themselves in and resonate with in some way. I deeply believe that what is meant for us will not pass us by. Sometimes, though, when we don't trust ourselves, we have to take the very, very, very long way to get there. So when I was in my early to late teens, I was a very social person, but I was internally also very, very shy. And I never put myself out there, very rarely. And looking back, it was because I really didn't trust my voice. And I held myself back from being seen in any public spotlight when it had to do with my opinions or perspectives. And I clearly remember thinking how my friends were so vocal and opinionated about certain topics, and they had no qualms in vocalizing that. But I didn't feel like that. I'd hear them argue and debate on certain things, and I'd think, why can't two things be right at the same time? Although, funnily enough, I did have a deep desire to understand why people thought in a different way. And I loved thinking about what made people so passionate about certain things. I also loved great chats and conversations, so nothing's changed there. And I had an untapped curiosity for the media world. There was always an interest in media. I have shared this story many times on public platforms because it really shaped the way my journey unraveled. At about 17 years old, I was at high school and sitting around a table with my friends. I think it was a spare subject. So we were just hanging around, having a snack, doing some work, and a careers counsellor came in. And she asked each of us what we wanted to do when we left school and what career path we wanted to take. And it felt like such a huge question at the time. And I remember my heart was beating out of my chest because I knew when it came to my turn to answer her question, I had to say out loud what I hadn't even verbalized to myself yet. And what I wanted to say was, I wanted my own TV talk show. I wanted to sit there every day and have inspiring conversations with people from all over the world and make people feel good. But I feel like I didn't deserve to say that because I was too shy and it sounded like a ridiculous dream, as I'd shown zero signs of me being capable of doing anything like that. So when she asked the questions, my friends answered confidently. And they said, IT, business, law, HR. And when it came to my turn to answer it, I felt like I failed myself miserably in that moment. Because guess what I said? Marketing. I did not say a TV talk show. And although marketing has served me, it has also led me the very, very long way to a pathway that I was meant to be on today. The other big thing that held me back from going for my big, hairy, audacious dream was that the media industry itself was so limited. It was 30 years ago. There was only a very small handful of talk show hosts or on-camera possibilities. There was no internet, no YouTube, no social media. So if you wanted it, you needed to stand out big time, or you needed to know someone in the industry, or you needed to sell your soul. And in Australia, there were only the main channels, 7, 9 and 10. And then there was also ABC and SBS, where you could get yourself a TV hosting role. So fast forward 10 years, I had completed a marketing and media degree, and I'd worked in countless jobs, all circling around the theme of marketing and media, but rarely ever putting myself out there to be in the spotlight, and finding myself hiding behind the lens in casting roles, producer roles, print media, managing talent, and so on. And it came to a point where I realized I needed to make a move on this dream of mine so it didn't become a regret in life for me. Wondering what if I tried? My inner voice would not rest up, and I knew I had to make a move. So I signed up for a 6-week TV presenters course at a studio called Brave Studios in Melbourne. And it was run by a woman called Carolee Katzenbarnes, who was a news journalist and anchor. She was polished, she knew her stuff, and she taught us the ropes. And over 6 weeks, which was run on a Thursday night, we would learn and practice the art of TV presenting. And at the end of each session, each of us would need to get up and present a piece to camera in front of a room full of students. I think there were only 8 of us, actually, so felt big at the time. But I know you might not believe it now, considering what I do for a living now, but it was the most painful, excruciating, out of my comfort zone act I had ever done. I remember every Wednesday night before class overthinking it and not being able to sleep because I knew I had to get up in front of everyone at class the next night. So I ended up finishing that course, loving it, and actually doing really well. So now it was my time to get that role. I thought it was going to be easy. Fast forward another 10 years, man, did I hustle. I hustled hard in the media world. It was competitive. I volunteered on every single production I could find. Some seriously dodgy production setups in old warehouses, filmed in the late evening with other people who were hustling to find their dream in media as well. But as time went on, the role started to get better and better, and I finally started to get paid. I was getting somewhere, finally, and the good news was the internet was now a thing, and more opportunities were becoming available every single day to all of us who were seeking to make it in media. I started hosting a wellness TV show on Foxtel. I did loads of TV commercials, hosted red carpet at events such as the Logies, an AFL Brownlow medal, roadshow premieres, and I got so caught up in landing the next gig. It sounded fabulous on paper and looked brilliant on my social media and on my website. But you know, when you hear people say, when they get that dream they've been chasing and it just doesn't feel like it's supposed to, that's what happened to me. I don't know, perhaps it took me so long to get where I wanted to be that by the time I got there, I had changed so much. But I stopped and I really thought about why I wanted to be in this hustle, in this competitive world so much anyway. Why was I chasing it for so long? And really, was I enjoying some of the gigs I was doing? I was finding myself on hardware TV commercials and looking at the clock because I couldn't wait to finish because I knew hardware wasn't my jam. I knew that's not what I was passionate about. And I knew that part of TV presenting wasn't what I had craved in the beginning, back when I was 17 years old. I craved the deep, inspiring conversations, and the talk show dream was still very much there. So during this time was about 2018, and I was working casually on a radio program for Southern Cross Austereo, one of the biggest radio stations in Australia. And although this role was feeling more like my own voice could be shared in a platform like radio, there certainly was a format to follow And to be honest, I don't think that I fit that mold that well. But what I did notice at this time were that the studios surrounding me and the buzz that was in the air at Southern Cross Stereo was all around podcasting. Everyone seemed to be talking about podcasting. I remember Hamish and Andy, who were Australia's biggest radio stars at the time, I think they still are, were next door to me and they were recording their podcasts, and I felt the excitement in the industry about this emerging medium. And then I thought, I wonder if I could create a podcast instead of a talk show for now. It would be cheaper and I could start it like literally right now. I had everything that I needed. So I asked the radio station if I could use their studios, and they absolutely agreed that that would be fine. So I knew it was my time to strike. The Things You Can't Unhear podcast was born, and I invited every brilliant mind I'd met along the way in my media career and also in the mindset and wellness journey that I'd been on, which I was eternally curious about. And that was why it was born. The moment I started recording the show, it was this deep knowing that this is what I was meant to be doing. I had loved every minute of recording the podcast since the 19th of March, 2019, when I launched, and ever since. And the talk show dream, well, it feels like I'm doing it already. My cup is full in that space. Podcasts have since become such a visual medium, and I've also started touring and running live events with big, beautiful audiences. So to me, that's the feeling I want to create from having a TV talk show. So whatever happens next is the exciting part, one that I'm not chasing, one that I'm now allowing myself to enjoy. It is the deep connection, the heartwarming conversations, the inspiration, education, transformation that I get from following my big, hairy, audacious goal that got me to where I currently am today. And, looking back now, I can see that every single twist and turn, every wrong job, every moment I felt stuck, every time I said yes when I wanted to say no, they all led me here. And yes, it took me the long way round, but that's okay, because the long way taught me things I never could have learned if I'd gone straight from my Year 12 common room to hosting a talk show. It taught me resilience, it taught me self-belief, and it taught me that the dream doesn't have to look exactly how you pictured it to. Most of us all have these big dreams. I know we do. These deep desires that whisper to us, sometimes for years, before we finally give them our full attention. And along the way, life can pile up on the reasons of why it's not the right time or it's not realistic. And we compare ourselves to others who seem so much further along. We let fear, doubt, or the need to follow the rules steer us off course. But here's the truth. The dream doesn't leave you. It will keep nudging you in small and sometimes uncomfortable ways until you choose to listen. We've all felt that, haven't we? That quiet knowing that there's something we're meant to do or be, even if we can't see the full path yet. So I want to ask you, what's the thing for you? What's the big, hairy, audacious goal you've been quietly carrying around, maybe for decades? And are you willing to take one small, brave step towards it? Because it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be complete. You just have to start. And here's the most beautiful part. You don't have to chase it frantically. You can create space for it. You can enjoy the process. And you can trust that if it's meant for you, it will not pass you by. Again, thank you for listening to me share my stories and my thoughts and my opinions and my perspective on these solo episodes. It has meant the world to me watching that happen. I would love for you now to share this with someone who you think might benefit from listening, and also hit the subscribe button, please, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you so much for being part of this ride with me on the Things You Can't Unhear podcast. Now you've got the backstory. Let's see what's next.
Thanks for listening to the show. What did you think? And what did you feel? Let us know by leaving me a message on the Things You Can't Unhear Instagram community page. And if you can, give us some ratings love on your favourite listening platform.